Hi folks, I'm Mike and I hope you're well. Welcome to Featured Artist Live. I've got no idea what episode this is. I haven't done a Featured Artist Live for several months. Normally, if you're here at this time of the day on a Friday morning as it is for me, but perhaps Thursday evening for you, I would be doing Fix My Mix. But we're taking a little break from Fix My Mix this week. We're going to just listen to some music from the community without critiquing it. We're just going to listen to it. We're just going to chill. It's an easy show. I don't have to say anything. We're just going to sit and listen to music. Let's start. Okay. That's not true. We're not going to do that. We are going to listen to some music from the community, but we're going to talk about today on this show about how to finish your projects. How many of you are stuck on your projects for months or years and never get them done? We're going to be talking about procrastination is really the essence of what we're going to be talking about. Now, I should say a quick thank you to our sponsor for the show, who are DestroKid. If you follow the link in the description, then you can get a nice discount from DestroKid, and they're not that expensive anyway, and I will get a little kickback. Thank you very much in advance for doing it. I must say, by the way, if it wasn't for DestroKid, this show would not be possible. I don't want to go on about it. I don't want to do a Rick Beato on you, but all of my Fix My Mix and featured artist shows are all demonetized, okay? I do not collect like ad revenue or anything from YouTube from them because well, rightfully so, because I play other people's music on the show, and bing, I always get demonetized right away. So I wouldn't really be able to afford the time on these shows if it wasn't for DestroKid. So thank you to them. I do have a guest for today's show, and we'll get to him in a moment. But first of all, let me say hi to some of the people who are here in the chat. Great to see Mimo Japan in here, one of our moderators. He's going to be making sure you don't step out of line. Thank you for being here, Mimo. Also, we have Kevin here. Kevin, always good to see you. I've been listening to some of your music this week. We have Doug here. He's also a moderator. Stay in line. We have Andrew Crossley here, and he's from Cairns. Nice to see another Aussie here. Always very welcome. And Neil Picard is here. Thank you for being here again, Neil. We have Pete Johns. I was watching Pete's show. Wow, it's the end of September, isn't it, Pete? Hey? It's the end of September. You know what that means? What have you got planned for October? Oktoberfest, is it something like that? But it's been great. It's been great Songtember, actually. And I know many of you have been taking part, including, of course, Kionra, who is here. Thank you for being here, Kionra. Again, as usual. So, look, we'll be saying hi to some more people. We are not critiquing mixes this week, as we do on Fix My Mix normally. However, your participation in the live chat is extremely required for this show. I'll be throwing out some questions to you all and looking forward to your reply. Also, to help me along, I have an amazing YouTuber, Marlon from White Noise Studio. If you haven't checked out his channel before, there is a link in the description down below. He's particularly good at reviewing plugins at a very fast pace. And here he is now. Marlon from White Noise. There he is. Yeah, very fast pace like that.
How you doing? Hi. Quick. Done. Okay, bye.
That's it.
Oh.
We were having a chat the other day, Marlon, and you were saying to me, I just can't think of anything else to say beyond about 5 minutes.
No, I'm shallow, so it's like 5 minutes and I'm done.
It does this, it does this, it does this. You should buy it. See ya.
Plug in, knob, turn on, turn off. It goes louder. Yeah. Wow.
It's good though. I like it. It's informative. It's straight to the point. It's very punchy. It's always handy if you bring out a video on the same topic as me just before I cover it, because I can just watch your video, slightly reword it, and I've got all the information. No, I'm not even kidding about this. You get the information right, which is what I need. Yeah, so thanks for your service to Creative.
Yeah, but you pay me well, so that's good.
Indeed. So I'll be getting your perspectives. We haven't talked about this previous to the show. No. I've never discussed this with you, really, about finishing projects, what the problem with finishing off projects. We can all start projects, we can all be in projects, we can all take part, and I hope we do, but often they get sort of a little bit hung up just before the end. We are going to be talking about this, but we're actually going to start off by playing a song. Why would we not do that? Let's get straight into it. I'm going to play a song, folks, and I'm going to throw an audience question out right away. Let's pop this up on the screen. We can think about this, Marlon. Audience question. What's the longest amount of time you've spent on a song? Maybe I'll come back to Marlon on that, actually, after we've listened to this song. But, folks, in the chat now, let me know. Look, you're in a safe space here. We're going to be gentle. You can make your admissions. If you're watching the replay, by the way, let us know in the comments down below for that as well. But Doug's already got an answer there. We'll come back to that. But years, he said. I bet there's a few people, actually. But anyway, let's go on to our first song. Marlon, you can introduce this song. It's from a member of the Cakewalk Creative Source community. I'll pop that up on the screen now.
Okay, it's the song "Tell Me Again" by Boney Landmarks.
Oh, yeah, and I needed to check the pronunciation of this, which I didn't beforehand. Is it Boney?
Tell Me
I think
Again
it's
by
Boney.
Boney Landmarks.
It wouldn't be Bonnie, would it? Could be Bonnie? I think it's Boney. I think it's Boney.
I think Boney is nicer because it's a bit more...
Now, I want to say, before I do play the songs today, by the way, remember, folks, you're hearing a stream of a stream, okay? So if you want to get the full quality of these songs, do follow the links in the description down below. I've got links for all of these folks in the description down below. Let's start off with, Tell Me Again, Boney Landmarks.
By your smile, somehow that masked all the cool words that you said. When the spell broke, I tasted that I wasn't afraid. Your painted stigma. Why
Okay, thanks very much for that song. Good start to the. I noticed people in the chat couldn't help but critique the song. Marlon, were you tempted?
Yeah, I was already typing, but that's what I do. That's
what
what
he
I do.
does. That's what he does. I was enjoying just listening to a song for a change.
Yeah, it was. The song was interesting throughout. I liked it.
It was actually a good song, wasn't it? Yeah, I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. Tell Me Again by Boney or Bonnie Landmarks, not quite sure, but yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't get too stuck. Who knows? Maybe this song took years to produce, but they eventually got it out there, which is a good thing. Some people in the comments, Doug was saying it's taken him years on some songs, and we had probably the prize here goes to Robert, who said 5 years and counting.
Wow.
Yes. For if that's one song, that's a long time. You may have some issues that we're going to tackle in today's show, I think, Robert.
Yeah.
And Keonra, I know has just started recording her first song, so she started on the 1st of September. So this is the good thing about Pete Johns' Songtember thing is that it's all about making a whole song in a month, which is a good exercise. Boundaries.
Will be September for me, but
So first of all, what I want to talk about. And I've got a little tip here, which I'm going to chuck up on the screen. It's my first tip, but I want to get some feedback from you on this. And here's my tip. This could be a meme on Facebook, couldn't it? It's a bit too long and it hasn't got a picture. But book yourself. This is my first tip. Book yourself. Allocate time to record and tell people you're busy. That means no weddings, no birthdays, no funerals even. If someone's died, stuff it. You've got a song to record and you're doing it on Saturday morning, right? This is
I mean, normal musician's life, like stuck in your bedroom and just make music.
And this is partly about discipline and boundaries. But I want to ask you, Marlon, because you run a commercial studio.
Yeah.
So, first of all, what's the longest project you've worked on in a commercial studio? And what are the differences, do you reckon, between the bedroom recording artist and somebody who's in a commercial studio?
Longest in a project in my studio, I think half a year, something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's when somebody comes along, of a band or an artist comes along, and they record over several months because of budget or because of timing or whatever. That's long actually. If you are working on a project for 6 months, that's like that's a lot. Also for attention span, because you even though it's commercial, you also tend to spend too much time on it if you're not careful, and that's dangerous.
Too much time on what do you think causes that though? Because the stakes are higher.
No, because it's there, right? If you care about your product, you want to spend time on it. And then you can fall into the trap. You spend way too much time on it, and then you lose your objectivity in the end, and that's very dangerous.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
I guess my thought is though is there then a difference? Years ago, when I would go into studios and I was a poor musician. We had to, often me and the band, if we went into the studio, we'd have to save up for quite some time. It was a substantial amount of money, and we may be able to afford like a day or two in there. There was a boundary on there caused by money, right? What's your experience of bands normally when they come in and record with you? It's quite a significant spend for them, or not saying you're expensive or anything, but
I'm cheap.
Yeah, you look cheap.
Thanks, I know. No, you. Whoa, loud! Wow, loud. No, it's okay. It's okay. I usually ask what their budget is, and we can work from there. It's not about making the most money ever. It's about making the best product ever, and that's a different thing. And you can do different ways to work with the budget, right? So there's so many ways you can work with it.
Yeah,
it's all fine.
But at the end of the day, isn't the truth though that when the band runs out of money and they can't pay you anymore, the production finishes?
Yeah, but that's why you have to make sure you make good agreements before you start.
Yeah, right. Okay. But in terms of finishing the project, maybe this is what I'm perhaps getting at, is that I feel that maybe the danger of, because when we started to realize that home studios were going to be so affordable, the gear was affordable, that we all thought, great, we don't have to pay a studio anymore, which is expensive. We can spend as much time as we want on the song, because we're not paying anyone, so it doesn't matter anymore, right? And maybe that's where the problem is. You know? And that's why I think that in a way, although it's a little artificial, is why I am suggesting to people, book yourself and allocate that time. Tell people you're busy, because if you had booked yourself for a studio years ago, you'd say, hey, I'm in Marlon's studio all weekend this weekend. Can't take any calls, can't be interrupted, the band's in a session, phone's off, what have you. Otherwise, people think you're available. Oh, he's just, Marlon's at home, just kicking back in his studio. We go around and have a coffee, have a beer.
Some bands actually think like that, but that's my job to get them to record and to get them to work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some comments happening. There's quite a lot of comments happening here. Let's oh no, stream of a stream. Didn't bother critique. It did sound a little different to me, even there, Doug, to the way it sounds if you listen to it on Spotify. So yeah, worth having a listen to the track.
Hey, 64 kilobits all the way, man.
Yeah,
it sounds so good.
Princess LDG says, I spent about 3 hours a day working on a song and produced that song in a month. I produce a single each month. That's actually not too bad going. I like it sounds like you've got a sort of consistency to the way you're working there. Kevin's saying there's a big difference between mixing your music and someone else's, for sure, hey? Don't you reckon? Well, Marlon doesn't agree, Kevin. What's it? Controversy. This is why I had him on the show. Go on.
No, it has to do with mindset. It absolutely has to do with mindset. If you write your own music, best is when you have finished writing your music and recording your music to put it away for a little time, and then start mixing it with a mindset that you are a mix of someone else's music and not your own music.
Agree. Totally
because
agree.
then you get a level of objectivity you need to do a proper mix and also to finish the mix.
This is one of the things, and it says slightly, it's off topic, off what you just said, but a continuation. This is why I like to master. If I use a DAW to master, that's why I used to like to work only on a stereo track. As computers have become more powerful, in theory, you could chuck your mastering plugins on the master bus in your project. Depending, some plugins I know of, you're not going to get away with that. But it is the separation of tasks which I like. I like the idea that this mix is done. Now I'm in mastering mode. I'm only going to work with the stereo wave. And it's similar to what you were saying, right? It's writing is finished. Composition and arrangement is finished. Now I'm mixing, yeah? Is that what the compartmentalization?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's mindset. It really is mindset. It's difficult, right? It's to get there, but you really should try. It will relieve you from a lot of stress. That's one thing for sure.
Another great YouTuber on here is the Produce Isle. She makes some great general videos about recording and her journey there. But also has a little focus on cakewalk as well, which I like. Losing objectivity for sure. I'll have days I sit at the door and it feels like everything I've done is awful and hopeless. That's where it helps to have collaborators. So true. So true. Do you know, I particularly like uneducated collaborators, people who are going to have like very straightforward opinions about things, who sort of go, no, That doesn't sound good. Okay. Well, a little bit
For
more
real.
specific than that.
Mhm.
Drums are a bit loud. Just simple stuff. Is always handy. Too many opinions can definitely be a problem as well. But
Yeah,
that's the issue in bands.
absolutely. That's something I always discuss with bands in my studio. I always say I do not want to have every band member mail me with their opinion. Because you will absolutely get completely opposite opinions. I said, you guys figure out by yourselves what needs to be changed or what needs adjusted to a mix. And I get to hear that and not. So you can fight amongst yourselves what needs to be changed, and then I will do the adjustment.
I like
Don't
that.
mail me. Don't
I don't
mail
think
me.
I'd be messing with you, Marlon. I wouldn't be messing with you if I was a band member. Pete Johns is saying unlimited tries is the best and worst thing about home studio recording. Couldn't agree more, Pete.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to avoid during this discussion coming at it a little bit from a YouTuber's perspective, since that's what me and you do. Me and you probably do mostly now. But there is this. It's one of the great things that I've learned through actually having a YouTube channel, is because I try and stick to a schedule. Usually on Tuesdays, I'm trying to make sure I get a video out. It gives you that limitation of it's got to be done. This is the best you can do at the moment. That's what you're going with. Some stuff I do wish I could go back. I have released videos which have got distorted. This thing you had earlier, I've had bits
Oh, you
of
mean this?
distortion. Yeah, which I didn't notice till after release. Doug will tell you that I've had one or two videos, especially with my old Strat, where I didn't notice it was a little bit out of tune until after I released the video. That's always cringy to me, but it's out there.
I thought you were going to say you have distortion on your Strat. Like, what?
That's okay. Don't mind that. Anyway, I think we're off to a good start here. I think we're onto something here. I can't help feel that some sort of imposed limitations is going to be a bit of a theory of what might be necessary if we want to get past this problem that some of us have of actually procrastinating on the final mix. Pete had some things that came up in his show earlier, just quickly, about the actual mix. He uses what he called the Joe Gilder approach, and I definitely have heard it from Joe Gilder, but and the idea is that when you're listening to your mix, you make notes, as the 3 minutes, this needs to change this, and you'll make some notes, and then you'll apply those notes. You don't randomly just sit there and fix things on the fly, but you have an agenda. Bang, bang, bang. This is what I'm going to... And the first run through, from my understanding of the way Joe Gilder presents it, but I've a slight variation, would be the kind of big, obvious stuff. Vocals are too loud in the verse, and then you'll just fix those 4 or 5 things that you notice. Then you might do one more run through, and each time the things that you're doing are less and less significant, and you should get to a point where they're really too insignificant to even bother with at all. Do you have any kind of process like that, Marlon, or do you just do it on the fly?
Mostly like that.
Yeah.
And also try to listen casual to your music and not over focus. That's one of the most difficult things to do. Play your music while you're doing the dishes and something like that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
In the background, because then if you do that low key, things will pop out. Like, one thing I'd notice, and I don't know if this is good or bad really, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll have that mix playing in the studio here. I open the door and I walk down the hallway to my kitchen, and like you say, I'll be washing dishes, and I'm kind of hearing it from a distance from another room. Sometimes I'll even notice things about it with that perspective rather than just sitting in front of the monitors. Absolutely, because you have to get out of that over-focused modus you're in when you're mixing with headphones or speakers or whatever.
Yeah. The other thing, finally, and I've said this a gazillion times before, but it's one of my favorite tips about mixes, and it'll change your mindset of a mix, is turn your computer monitors off and have a listen to your mix, right? It's handy if you've got a controller like I've got, so you can actually adjust the mix with some faders, should you want to. But turning off the monitors, mind-blowing experience when you're not looking at meters jumping up and down. It's you hear your mix probably properly. Anyway, let's move on and listen to another song. I should have really teed this up. Should have queued this up beforehand. I didn't, but there we go. Now let's just find the. I'm not very good at this, Marlon. I've been doing this for months. I still haven't got good at it, but there you go. Our next song is this one. Again, Marlon's going to do it in his best radio voice.
Oh, radio voice. Midnight Blue by Jonah Carden.
I like it. Not quite Pete John's radio voice, but it's good. Hey, guys, as you listen to this song, I want to ask you a question, an audience question. And I'm really interested in this because this may help me to guide me to which videos I should make next. But the question as we play this song is, what part of the process do you get stuck on? So is there something that you find particularly difficult where you just seem to spend ages and ages and ages on it? Let me know, or let us know in the comments about that. We're going to go ahead and play this song. I just want to point out with this song, listen for some interesting timing in it. was getting all kind of chilled there. I was just, I forgot I was on a show there.
Oh no.
There was a little bit of the Chris Rea happening for me on
Yeah.
the vocals there. Really nice. It's a little frustrating to hear music like that sometimes because I've got some bad news for you. You can spend a lot of time on recording vocals. You can get good microphones. You can get good studios. You can get good sounds. You can get good signal chains. You can get really singers who can sing really well in tune, but tone, am I right or am I right? Tone is something some people are born with.
Yeah.
And it's bloody annoying for those who don't have it.
That's why I only do drone recordings of 15 minutes, just a C. It's nice.
Yeah.
Play a C of 15 minutes, new song. Right, done. Next one. Can write 15 songs in 2 hours.
You
It's
could,
good.
couldn't you? That would
Yeah,
be
you could. Yeah.
But yeah, so congratulations there on that song, Midnight Blue from Jonah Carden. Really actually enjoyed that very, very much. I just want to, before we talk about what I want to talk about, I just want to pop up a tip because people have been talking about how they get stuck on things. So here's my second tip. I've got them out of order here. All right, here, I found it now. My second tip is this, Marlon. Accept your current limitations. Right? So what I don't believe is that you will become a better producer just by working on one song for 5 years. Sorry, I can't remember who it was that said they'd be working on something for 5 years. So because
Not really, no.
you need a kind of a range of experiences anyway, and you need to put into practice certain techniques and things for many songs in different situations to become competent. You can't just learn it off a YouTube video, apply it to, watch all the YouTube videos, apply it to a song, and there you go, you've produced a brilliant song. Yep. So you need to, it's a process which happens over years and it's ongoing probably till we die, no doubt. And
10,000 hour rule, right?
There is something about the 10,000 hour rule. Some people seem to do better with less than 10,000 hours.
Bit quicker, yeah.
But, but so the idea here is that to understand that you must get that music out there. In fact, if Marlon was to point above his head, he could point to our sponsor, DestroKid there. There you go. I found it really healthy to get things out, to get them released, and then to worry about learning about the next technique that I should have employed on the last ones for future projects. There's always going to be a way you're going to improve. I want to ask you quickly, Marlon.
Yeah.
What is a technique that you regularly use on your productions now that you didn't, say, 10 or 15 years ago?
Oh, that's a good one. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Give me a minute while you talk about the sponsor of this video.
That's right. I'm glad you said that because I forgot to talk about the sponsor of this video. So let's hear from DestroKid, and Marlon's going to think about his answer to that question. If you do follow the link in the description down below, it's going to take you to a special page on DestroKid with this yellow banner at the top. That banner is letting you know that you're going to get a further 7% discount off your first year if you sign up here. And let's face it, it's already very cheap. If we scroll down, we can see that a year's membership is $19.99 per year for an unlimited number of albums and songs. And so long as it's your own music, there are no extra charges, and you get to keep all of the royalties from the various platforms. Platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, Pandora, Amazon, Instagram, Tidal, iHeartRadio, Deezer, and more. Hey, just a quick word to someone in the comments there. Distant Transmission, as the last Fix My Mix had virtually no critique because there was 3 great songs in there. I submitted one of my tracks just in case it got picked. Typically no. Don't worry, Fix My Mix is going to come back and people can still submit their tracks. I think I've still got something in the description down below, instructions how to do that. Lonely Rocker says that Marlon just yells at his mixes, and I think it's probably true.
No, yelling at productions.
He yells those productions into submission. So Marlon, you've had time to think. What's the technique that you were doing a few years ago that you...
Yeah, let's say about 10, 15 years ago. With now, it's mostly arrangement. Actually, arrangement.
Mm.
So it's not I don't know. It's a production technique. Yeah, it is actually.
Mm. Mm.
So make sure that in the arrangements or the parts you write, there's already enough room for everything to breathe. Instead of just cramming every instrument full, just play everything all the time. Just space it out a bit and be very aware of where every instrument is in the arrangement.
Mm.
You'll
Mm.
be surprised how easy it will be to mix after that.
It's interesting. I may have said this on a previous show last week, but I watched a video recently about Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. They had the original, I don't remember his name, but the original mixer was on a video the other day, and they were asking him how long he took to mix that song.
Chris Lord Algie, I think.
No,
right?
it wasn't. It was someone else.
Was
No,
that
it
CLA?
wasn't Sile. But anyway, the guy was saying that it actually took him, for Born in the USA, it took him 2 hours to mix the song. The guys who were making the YouTube video were shocked. Really? And he said, what you got to understand is a band like that virtually mix themselves. And what he was implying was the arrangement that the band have for the song is so together and, has all the right elements that it mixes itself, and
Clear
and I
Mountain.
can understand.
That's
I can
right.
understand.
It was Bob Clear Mountain, right?
Right,
Correct.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting, and I think it's so true. I think when something is conceived correctly from the beginning, each instrument is playing a role in some way, in the whole, not just the musically, but in the sound of the thing. Then just getting levels right after that. Anyway, yeah. So look, some people said in the comments, after I asked this question, I asked what do you get stuck on. E Short Sax says, for me it's compression on the mix bus. I feel like I never get it right, so I tend not to do it. You know what? Here's some big news here. You don't have to. You don't have to do it. That's the one thing to understand about compression. People are obsessed with compression. Well, depending on the genre of music, actually. With my genre of music, which tends to be a bit lighter and a bit more spacious, I don't always use compression on everything. I've tried to get this across to people. You just don't always need it. A little bit of control, maybe. So for me, mix bus compression especially is almost like you shouldn't really notice it's there. It's always going to be a little bit subtle. Maybe you're overthinking it, E Short Sax, and thinking that it's going to have some miraculous.
Well, you have to know what it's doing. Why do you need compression on the mix bus? Why do you need compression on the mix bus?
What's the intention? So
yeah,
you want to be thinking a bit more like you've got a toolbox of things you can do in the studio, right? The toolbox is there in the background. Now you think, what does this track need? Yeah, and you think, oh, I need the vocals to sound less dry and like they're in a space. Or we'll grab some perhaps delay and reverb tools from the toolbox. Don't be grabbing a compression out of the toolbox and then go, where do I need to put compression? You just don't think like that. Think what the track needs, then find the tool to solve the problem.
Just clip everything. Plus 20 decibels. Make it red. You're done.
You're done. That's it. Get a nice warm
So
fuzzy
loud.
feeling. Next up, we have Maisley. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I get stuck when I listen to the mix in different places, and each version seems to be the best in one of the. It's interesting, the idea of translation, isn't it, Marlon? Because I'm a bit careful with this. You've got to be aware of the limitations of the equipment that you're playing on. So do be careful, not to. It's a very valid idea to get your phone out and have a quick listen to see how it sounds on there. Oh, look, there's me and Susie. That's how isn't it cute? That's how my phone's going. But of course, this thing doesn't produce frequencies below whatever it doesn't produce frequencies below. So don't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, it's not bassy enough on there. I need to boost the bass in my mix.
And not to mention the compression. It actually
yes.
adds this one.
Absolutely.
My God, it's terrible.
So the thing about this listening for translation, Marlon, what's your thoughts when you're listening on different devices to see how the
Um,
mix translates?
you have to know. You have to. I'm loud again. You have to know what the key elements are in your mix. So
Mm,
let's say it's a vocal-driven track. The vocals should translate everywhere, right?
right.
If the rest doesn't translate, doesn't matter because every listening device will sound different.
Mm,
So if you know that, you will know that your mix will never sound the same on every listening device, as long as the key elements still hold up. That's the only thing you need to listen for.
yep.
So it can be
I agree with
vocal,
that. I agree
whatever,
with that.
drums, whatever. But you don't need to have to, you don't have to focus on every element of that will be a nice little dangerous path you're going down if you want every element to translate on everywhere. So
Mm,
don't do
mm.
it.
I also think that another thing that's worth understanding, just to help Maisley along here a little bit and others, is just like how in the studio we talk about getting used to your monitors, your headphones, and that can take weeks or months before you really learn them. Learn about those other pieces of equipment. So, for example, next to my bed, on my bedside cabinet, I have one of those Bose speakers, Sound Touch 20. You know, great for casual listening while I'm having a shower or what have you. But obviously, being a Bose thing, very hyped in the low end, softens everything. Do you know what I mean? It just makes everything sound mushy and soft.
Yeah.
You lack definition, so you've got to be careful and understand that that's what that particular thing is going to do to your sound. You know. In actual fact, if I played something on my Bose and it had loads and loads of clarity and was very, very present in the mids or something, I'd be worried, because it shouldn't sound like that on that speaker. And you do
Mhm.
that by listening to lots of commercially mixed and music that's familiar to you through those systems, and you get to understand how they sound. Yeah.
That's actually a good one if you use also reference mixes, right? If you
Mm, mm.
make sure you take something which actually makes sense to reference to,
Oh, yes.
because it's
Yes.
so. If you mix a classical piece of guitar, don't use an EDM track to reference to.
Yeah, precisely.
It's
Yeah,
such a different sound. Find something which
absolutely.
is somewhat in the same genre, and you'll
Mm.
be much happier as well.
And which has some of the goals that you're looking for. You know,
Yep.
for me, for example, um, I'm a Damien Rice fan, and I like the way Damien Rice's guitars sound, his acoustic guitars. And it's kind of a goal for me to, often, not always, not for all songs, but I kind of want my guitar to sound a little like his production. And so, of course, I'm going to choose sections of his songs where it's revealing the acoustic guitar in a similar way to the way it is in my mixes. Anyway, very good point, though, because I sometimes get that question, Marlon, where people just randomly write to me and say, which reference track should I use? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you want your song to sound like?
but it's actually okay to have a little list of reference track for
Mm,
yourself, but also when you're mixing, to start, for instance, with a reference track to listen to, because your ears will be different every day as well.
yeah,
Maybe you're
yeah.
tired, you will listen, you will hear the music different. Maybe it will sound too bright, maybe it will sound too dull for you. So you have a reference, so you know where you're at that day. It's also a little
Yeah,
tip.
very good. I don't do it too early on, but towards probably when I'm going for like a static mix or something at that kind of stage, then I put my reference track just on a stereo track in my DAW sometimes. But just a little tip here: make sure you volume match it, folks. These things are often going to be mastered already. Remember, you're at a mixing stage. When you're using reference tracks. So as we know, things that sound louder tend to sound better. So
Mm.
just make sure you take a look at where the levels are at with that track in terms of probably.
I see a comment here of
Mm-mm.
Dan, Mr. Lonely Rocker. Just don't reference your own mixes. I actually do reference my own mixes when I
Yeah,
have
me
to
too.
work on a project which is 6 months long, and I already did a mix for a band. I do have to reference my own mixes to make sure it sounds somewhat similar.
Yeah, I do that. I say I do that. I have done that in the past. If I'm working on a project like an EP or something, and you want some consistency across there, then I have reference there. But there you go.
Yeah, something what I often do when it's an EP, I master in stems to make sure I have the bass, I have the drums, I have the vocal to make sure they are somewhat equal and level,
Do you
especially
know
when
what?
it's the same genre.
I've never done so-called stem mastering. That's something I
Yeah.
should explore. Hmm.
Yeah, not too
Hmm.
much. Stereo mastering is always it's actually more relaxing because you have the stereo file in.
Yeah, you just.
Because you can't go back too much into detail again when you do
Hey,
stem
I'm glad
mastering.
you said it that way. Relaxing. This is another thing. If you're sweating over something too much, if you're just over analyzing something too much and you're stuck, I think there's bigger problems than you mixing. You got to let go a little bit here, right? You got to
Yeah.
not worry so much. I think there might be an insecurity thing happening for some of us at some point where we're overly concerned about how the audience is now going to receive this. So then we start second guessing every single thing we're hearing. Interestingly, Pete was talking about this on his show earlier when he was trying to get some opinions on his mix. And for him, he'd noticed that there was some guitar squeaks happening here and there, and he was waiting to see if anyone in the audience really, and no one picked up on it. And he was saying, "Oh, maybe it's just me being overcritical," and that's what can happen. We can start to overanalyze things, and they get out of control.
Keep a relative perspective is also so important.
And this feeds
Right.
into what also Kevin Parent was saying here. That an issue for him is instrument balance. You know all the parts, but you can't perceive the music from the point of view who's someone who's never heard it before. Kevin, I think this goes back to Marlon's point earlier, where, for me anyway, where you would perhaps record and track that music, and you've done that arrangement and tracking stage, but then have a break, walk away from it, work on another song, leave an amount of time, and come back to it. And I sort of tend to think, especially if you've made some kind of a static mix or a basic mix, that if you haven't heard that song for maybe a couple of weeks, the very first impression you have of it is the most important thing. Like, so have a notepad handy, whatever, because even by the second and third listen, you're probably overanalyzing it or thinking about it too hard. But take note of the very first thing that you notice about the mix. It's probably going to be the most important thing. What say you, Marlon? You should agree with me here. There you go.
I agree with you.
I know, it's common sense, really. But
No, you need to reset your brain, right? You need to
Yeah, right.
reset.
Yeah,
Right? And,
absolutely.
ideally, need to forget what you did and then listen back to it. But that's not that easy. But if you spend every day on music, you will not get out of the mindset.
Kiana, you're saying here, and my mantra is the same as the title of a Billy Connolly book by Billy Connolly. You've got to tell us what that title is, Kiana, please.
I'm like Kanye West. I don't read.
Don't leave us hanging there, Kiana. Don't leave us hanging. Moving on, I will say that my next tip. I'm sorry, I'm a bit out of sequence here. A little bit out of sequence. My life is out of sequence. My next tip is going to be announce it. Tell people publicly that your release is coming by a certain date. We'll talk about that in a moment, and the idea of that. But I want to say that I just want to quickly note that with all the songs that we're playing today, talking of announcing things, and I'm trying to bluff here as I tee up the next one. I've gone to the wrong thing. Yeah, I know. With all of the songs that are playing today, the first thing that comes up, and I'll just start to play the next one. I'll pause it. Can you still hear me? You can?
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
The first thing that comes up is this. It's a hyper follow page. This is one of the features of DestroKid. And it basically is one place where you're able to announce your release to everyone with just one URL, rather than giving them a Spotify link, or giving them, Apple Music link, or all of those things individually. One of the features of DestroKid is that when you upload your music, they automatically generate this hyperfollow page. So that's the word about our sponsor. Let's go ahead and play the song. As we can see here, it's the Lawrence Experiment. The actual name of the song here, because this is a hyperfollow page for their album, the actual name of the song is called Who Knows. Let's have a listen to that now.
Bird sits on a fence and sings, it's June. Take flight in the sky and dip out of view. Who knows where it goes? Where it goes, I don't know, but it don't feel the need to justify. Years pass on by and sing that you take flight in the sky and dip out of view. Who knows where they go? Where they go, I don't know, but they don't feel the need to justify. Words hang in the air and sing that you burn a trail in the sky and dip out of view. You know that it's gone. Why it's gone, we both know. So don't look at me like you're mystified. Bird sits on the fence and sings, it's June. Take flight in the sky and dip out of view. Who knows where it goes? Who knows where it goes?
I just quickly want to mention that the song was sent in by a community member called Robert Atkinson, and he wanted to make sure that the writer was credited. His name is Anthony O'Brien there. Quite enjoyed that song, actually. Was bombing along to that. Had a nice...
Yeah, it was
feel
nice.
to it. Yeah, it's a good song.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, folks, this is a stream of a stream, so make sure you follow the links in the description if you kind of want to hear these songs a bit more as they were intended.
But some people say it sounds brittle, but I think I hear the restream directly and not the YouTube stream. So
that's right. Exactly.
For me, it's okay.
Yeah,
for me, it's a bit better.
Some people are probably, getting a stream of a stream of a stream. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know. Could be,
nice.
potentially. No, it's interesting. Even that, do you know, the brittle thing. You bring up hearing. A friend of mine who likes to push my theories and question me. His name's Simon. He's an old friend of mine. I was talking to him about this mixing on headphones the other day
Hmm.
because I was saying I'm making a video about these very headphones, and I won't spoil it. But the whole topic came up again of mixing on headphones and translation and all that. And he was saying, look, you never know if anyone's hearing it the same as you anyway. And he said, for example, people's age, you know, their ability to hear the high end is gonna be different to yours at any one particular time, right?
Chris
So-
Lott, famous mixer Chris Lott Algae actually mentioned he doesn't hear anything about above 5K anymore. I don't know if that's really true, but wouldn't be surprised actually.
So, so true, and of course, in theory, we can hear between 20K and 20,000, but 20 hertz and 20K, I should say, but that's when we're born that we can hear that,
And also left and right ear not the same. You
Not
should do
the
you should just for fun's sake you should do a sine sweep in your DAW, like for low to high. You will hear you will hear the pitch. You like in some way
Yeah.
you will hear it do like this. Like
Yeah.
my god, when it's a mono signal, you're like, oh my god, my ears on my headphones. It's not the same at all.
Now, not to preempt my video at all, but this is the things that I want. This is the point of this is to say, yes, we don't know what any of your listeners' hearing capability is. If they're wearing headphones, it will change on the size of their head and the shape of their head because the fit of the headphones, even if they're wearing exactly the same headphones as you are, they will potentially hear it a little differently. If you mix on monitors, fine, but the listening environment of the final listener could be in a bathroom, could be in a supermarket. We never know what's going to interfere. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't employ the best techniques possible to find a translation for your mix across things, but do bear in mind that you're trying your best effort. There's no perfect solution which you're going to find by remixing your song for 5 years. I don't know who said 5 years earlier on, but I'm like a dog with a bone. But
If you change your mix, and the only thing which comes out is you make it sounds different and not better, then you already know you're way past done.
yeah, precisely.
And then it comes down to
a-
taste. Right?
A couple of things there which played on, I think, what Keonra was saying about, what was the name of the Billy Connolly book? I think it was Fuck It, wasn't it? That was what I know. Several people said that's when they know when a mix is done because they're like, fuck it. And it's so true, isn't it? When you get to this stage, like, that's the best I can do right now.
Really?
I like this one. Just a little quote here from some of the comments. The song is never finished, it's only abandoned. So true. It's never going to be something, folks, that you listen to in a few years' time and think, well, I'm not going to say never, but often it's the case that we hear in a few months or a few years' time, we think, oh, I wish I'd done this or that before I went ahead and released it. But it's really,
this
really...
one. Oh, this one. Your next mix will be your best.
I'm not convinced.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
You're never
sort of-
satisfied, right?
No. And nor should you be. That would mean that there's some formula. At the end of the day, we've also got to recognise that a mix is partially a technical thing and partially an artistic thing. So there again, we have different people's ideas about how a mix should sound.
I can do a quote about how I work in a studio. I know when I have a mix ready, it's in the ballpark. Like say, for me, it's like 80%. I'm at 80% of a good mix, or 90% even. And then the band comes in and gives it their opinions, right? And that's something you learn. And then you notice that everything is taste, right? So you make sure you have the right balance, and then it's all about taste, and not about better or worse, but does someone like snare a bit louder? Does someone like the vocal a bit louder? Stuff like that. And there's so many variations, and all are right, but none is the perfect one.
Now, I want to finish off the hour by just mentioning what I was saying earlier. And my tip is to announce things. It's not always appropriate, but I do find I've realised how helpful it is for me anyway. Just a quick background story, folks. I recently released a course, the Absolute Beginner's Guide to Cakewalk. I probably put a link in the description about that. I'm not here to advertise my course, but I want to let you know that it took...
Rick Beato.
That's right, exactly. He's like, yay, someone banned one of my songs. I can make a video about it and promote
Book. Yes, my book. Yes, my book.
No. Sorry, Rick, if you're watching, which I know you're not. Didn't mean it.
We talk about Big Riato, by the way, not Rick Beato.
Yes, it is. But anyway, so I think that I feel that that it took me sort of this year. Now, in fairness, right, over a year to produce this course. It doesn't take a year to produce a course, but it took me over a year to do it. Now, in fairness, my father passed away during that time, and then later on in the year, we had a pretty serious family illness, which I won't go into. But there were some distractions coming along. Life does that to you. Life comes along and blindsides you and throws some curveballs in there. But what I found towards the end, because it was dragging out, I was thinking I'd had bits of it done, I had some planning done, I had bits of filming done, but there's a lot more to it than people probably imagine. But over the last maybe 2 or 3 months, people started to ask me about it, and that when's your course coming? And I found myself saying, I think it's going to be in 2 months' time. And that was the most healthy thing that I did, when I started to commit to a time, and that is sort of, because I'd feel bad if I told someone that and then I didn't deliver, it put a little bit of pressure on me to go, let's get this done, which I did in the end.
Deadlines are awesome to get something done.
Aren't they? I mean, they're not very rock and roll, but they're just the best thing that you'll have in a workflow is an actual deadline.
Yeah.
So if you're producing music, you're producing an EP or an album, especially. I don't necessarily recommend people bother producing albums these days, but an EP or something, start telling your friends, hey, I'm going to get this done by December, and look forward to it. Announce something publicly on Facebook or what have you, and you will, and you'll find yourself mostly anyway hitting them more. Greg says, I can never fool myself with self-imposed deadlines. I wish I could. I think that's where the public side of it comes in, Greg, because then you've got kind of a commitment, something to be embarrassed by. Don't get there. But anyway. How about you, Marlon? What's your deadline? Go to sleep now? What time is it there in the Netherlands?
It's now 3 a.m.
You need your beauty sleep. Me and you have got to produce a video by next week, haven't we? We're both going to be talking about the same topic next week, probably, I think.
Yeah, but my video will be better.
Well, of course. Well,
I will have it out earlier than you, so you can watch my video, so you can make,
So I can make it. That's right, exactly. So
actually, I have a video coming out in, depends a bit. Hopefully 8 hours, but it has to do with the plugin manufacturer, if they have it online or not. NDAs. I will do I just go blatantly plug myself. I will do a giveaway of a plugin in my video of later today.
Oh, cool. Oh, we love giveaways. I may enter myself.
It will only cost your soul and a kidney, but it's a giveaway.
And do you get all those comments that everyone gets now? Those scammer comments?
No, not popular enough.
Oh, well, when you start doing giveaways, don't worry, they'll be in there. They will use
Yeah, I
your
know.
image, Marlon, and they'll promise people.
No,
all
I
kinds
have
of things.
I have used your spammed words list, right? And you shared it, right? So I
Yes.
basically block every comment I get. It's so tight.
It is a good spam words list, actually. There's some
Well, it
good
is.
ones on there. I've had to
I,
add
le-
a
I
few
learned
recently.
I learned a few new words.
I know.
in
I
that
was
one.
reading it. I was like, what does that even mean, Google?
Yeah,
Oh.
Google. Ooh,
Yes. Just so you don't know,
Yep.
in case you wonder what we're talking about, on the back end of YouTube, folks, we can enter a word list. Words that, if they're there, the comments are not deleted, but they're held for review for us to look at. And I can tell you with mine, also, and I don't know if you have this set up, Marlon, anyone who puts a link in my comments, it gets held for review. Anyone who uses all caps, that gets held for review. All
it's
kinds
called
of
it's called censorship.
It's called censorship, yes.
No
I've
free
never
speech on my
pretended
channel.
This is not a democracy. This is
No.
definitely a dictatorship.
Absolutely.
Yes, anyway. Thanks for joining us for this show, folks. You've all hung in there, 36 of you right till the end. Give us a like. Congratulations to the people who sent in some music for this show. If you want to have some music on this show, then you can send it to my email address, which is in the description down below. If you want to send some music in for Fix My Mix, then you can also still do that. Fix My Mix has not ended. I'm just having a little break from it, doing something a little different for a couple of weeks, but I'm sure it'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. I think we're going to do this again next week. I'm going to pick a topic and listen to some featured artists from the community, and I think we'll be back with Fix My Mix the week after that. Looking forward to your video, Marlon, which is coming out in about 8 hours' time, and I'm looking forward to our video, which is coming out at some point next week.
Yep.
And it's public. It's there that it's going to be announced. I don't want to, but
It will be out on that day.
it will be out on that day next week. We're both covering it. So after you've watched mine, if you're really, really, really bored, watch Marlon's. He'll wake you up with.
No, just watch mine. I'm done in 5 minutes. It only takes 5 minutes. I'm done. You know that.
It's a big release, isn't it? It's a big
6 minutes. It will take
release.
6 minutes.
I
And then
know.
you're done.
This release that we're going to be both talking about next week is this kind of thing which caused me to buy a new SSD and I spent several hours yesterday downloading it. Many hours yesterday.
What's your download speed?
I've got I'm on 120 roundabout. Yes.
100.
Right. I know.
Just upgrade it to 1 gigabyte.
Oh my lordy! No, here in Australia, one of our politicians, about a decade or so ago, decided that we just needed to stay on a partially copper network. We didn't
God.
need any of that
Oh,
fangled
copper.
stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah, bit of old copper to the node or whatever it's called. So, yeah, but I'm actually on a wireless thing. I don't have any wires coming to my house at all. I'm sure our viewers want to know all this, don't they, Marlon? I will see you this time next week, folks. Not with Marlon, but with someone else, probably, most likely, or
Yeah,
maybe not.
I need-
Who knows?
I need
Just
my
gonna-
beauty sleep.
It's been wonderful to have you here. Very, very wonderful to have you here, Marlon. I hope you'll come back again. Maybe I'll do a show at your daytime.
You
Amsterdam
won't
or
get any
something.
viewers, you know that, right? Everybody's sleeping. Europeans don't watch your videos, so whatever. No.
All right, then. If you have been watching this on the replay, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Like,